Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. We've got Brett Burns, we've got Brevan Herbst. We have to say special shout out to Brevan for actually being here. The guy looks like he's dying, but he said, listen, priorities first. Got a film for Cephas Unscripted, so we appreciate him to be here, for being here. Episode 70, boys.
Wait. Before anything happens, the crowd needs to know today is Casual Bias's birthday. He is turning 24 as we speak. Happy birthday, Casual Bias.
This is actually filmed on Sunday, but on Monday when they watch it. Yeah, okay, fine, yeah. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Okay, boys. Listen, also before we get into our URC review, people, we got 40 subscribers from the previous episode. We absolutely love it. As always, we appreciate your love and support. Let's aim to see if we can get 40, even push for 50 in this episode. We're so close to 1,000, really pushing it. We love it. We adore you. Okay? But let's get into it, boys.
Yeah, well,
because the Cephas made a return. Brevan, sorry.
No, sorry, I just want to say for Casual's birthday, please give him a present and just subscribe. I mean, guys, it's free. Hit the subscribe button. You don't pay a cent. For all those people that, you get those out-of-date guys that aren't too familiar with YouTube that think subscribing mean you're paying. You're not paying on YouTube. It's completely free. So for his birthday, please, guys, just hit that subscribe button and get us closer to our goal of 1,000. So anyway, enough begging. Go for it, Casual.
I'm not big on birthdays at all, but that would be very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, so episode 70, lads. We are absolutely smashing it at the moment. And so was the South African teams. Okay, everyone. Last weekend, nobody won except for the Lions. This weekend, everyone except for the Lions. Starting off with the Sharks game, obviously we predicted them to smash the Scarlets. And at a certain point, it looked like they were gonna, until they absolutely bottled it and only won it by 5 points. Yeah. Boys, are we convinced by that performance?
Brevan,
So I think, look, at the end of the day, I'll keep coming back to this. There's South African teams overseas are a dodgy case. Whether you send the strongest team or you send the weakest team or whatever the case may be. But I think it's good that they got the job done. And like you said, it was looking comfortable until they came back into it. And all you can really ask for is a win, and that's what they got. And I think it was going to always be close just due to the fact that it is over there in the UK. I think the Sharks can be proud of that performance. They'll just have to work on things like not letting teams creep back into it, because if there's an extra 5 minutes there, that could cost the Sharks.
Yeah. Also, just a quick shout out to Werner Kok for a flourish of tries. And I read some of the comments because I follow every single page in South Africa. And everyone was calling for Werner Kok to now be the next Springbok right wing. Because he got 3 tries. Imagine that. Imagine if everybody that scored a brace or 3 tries gets called up to the box. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, but good performance.
I still see Werner Kok as a Kwagga Smith. I still see him. He has to be in the loose forwards. I do not see him as a wing at all. But I mean, fair enough. Got the 3 tries. He works hard. His work rate is absolutely insane. But what worries me about this game is not that they won the game. I think it was a decent performance from the Sharks. They let in a few tries that they probably didn't want to do. But the thing is, like, they kind of wanted a statement performance, seeing that they have to play away from home. Is it away from home in the Challenge Cup now, in this week coming up? So they would have wanted to take a lot more confidence than they are able to take now into that away fixture, seeing that they're putting all their focus on the Challenge Cup. What are your thoughts going for them, like an early preview going into the Challenge Cup game next weekend?
Before we go into that, sorry, Brian, before we get into that part, I just want to mention that everyone's calling for what's his name, the scrummer achterflaaf of the Lions.
What's his name?
The Lions.
Lions, Nohamba.
Hendrickson.
Everyone's calling for Nohamba to be the next Springbok 10, but Sia Masuku, 2 back-to-back man of the matches. The Okas playing some bloody good rugby.
Even the games without a man of the match, he was decent.
Yeah, so is this his quick little wriggle into that Bok jersey for the Welsh test? I'm not holding it against anybody, but that is not a bad shout.
No?
Yeah, I think he's done himself proud. I think from a guy who's literally been introduced towards the latter end of the season, I think he's done so well to just adapt and fix the job. I mean, remember when Kerwin Bosch was like listed as the next guy to take South African rugby forward in the 10 position, and he's really struggled at the Sharks at 10. I think he's had a good few attacking performances, but as for the defense, I mean, that's debatable, or it's not debatable. It's not been great. But then Sia Masuku comes in and he's absolutely bossing it, so you can be super proud. Kaz, do you want to add anything before we just chat about that Sharks Challenge Cup?
I was just like, I remember us making a video about who our current Springbok team would be if you look at form, and obviously Masuku didn't play in that time. We all said Mani, and then if we wanted to shoe on someone else in that doesn't play in South Africa, but still plays in the same tournament, we talked about Tinus de Beer. I think if Masuku played during that time and we had to make that video now, he's probably one of the easiest names we put on the team sheet. Yeah. Look at his current form. Obviously, you still have the kicking worries. We saw him miss a goal right in front of the post the other day. But I mean, he's the way that he plays just looks so beautiful. He's fitted in perfectly with that Shark system. Their backline looks a lot more, how do you say it, like cohesive, flowing. But yeah, let's go into the Challenge Cup real quick. Brett, do they take enough confidence from this going into the Challenge Cup, or do you think they should have put a bit more together?
Actually, no, I'm very, very positive about the Challenge Cup run that they got now. And I think that all the teams in the Challenge Cup should be aware. This is the Sharks team that should have been contending in the Champions Cup. So this is not a bad time for the Sharks to actually save Plumtree's job and win the whole Challenge Cup. And I think it's very doable. And I think the teams need to look out because these Oaks they're finding form and it's looking dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, they play in Clermont, who obviously play in the French league. And, you know, this is supposed to be a home game for the Sharks, but due to the union, or not the union, sorry, the organizer, sorry, or whoever organizes the Challenge Cup or Champions Cup or whatever. Sorry, I'm so sick on blank. We literally we're not allowed to get a home semi-final or final. Or the final gets played at a neutral venue, but semi-final gets played at home, and the Sharks had to pick a venue to obviously play where they want to play their home game because you can't have it in South Africa. So at least they're still having a neutral venue, if that makes sense, where they don't have to travel to Clermont, which I think will help them a lot as well. So I think the Sharks have a very positive chance at winning this whole thing.
Do we know where they chose to play?
I really can't confirm, sorry, but I do know it's not at Clermont. So I think that will help them a lot, having Clermont have to travel to a neutral venue as well. But I think, like I said, they shouldn't worry too much about leaking the tries at the end there against, who did they play again?
Scarlets.
I keep confusing Dragons and Scarlets. But I don't think they have to worry too much.
That's why.
And Sharks for the win.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick preview on the Clermont game. I think they'll take some confidence from this game. I know Clermont is like a physical team, and that's the one thing where the Sharks won't get bullied when it comes to physicality, which kind of gives them that bit of extra confidence. If they were smart, if they really had a choice where they could play, I would just tell them to stay in wherever the Scarlets are. Just stay there for the week and just play that game again there at that field. That would come to a massive advantage for you. But anyway, let's move on to Brevan's team. The Bulls played the Ospreys, and there were questions like, can the Bulls bounce back against the Ospreys after the Munster loss? Can Ospreys pull out two performances out of the bag? Yeah, well, they saw the inside of their arsehole. Okay, that's what happened to the Ospreys. To say it nicely, Willie Leroux rolling back the years, absolutely stud performance. The Bulls didn't really miss Johan Goos, and that backline was flowing. Finally saw Kainan Moody once again on the wing. And then, who was the inside centre? Was it Fenton?
Foster, and then David Creel was 13. Yeah.
And Creel had an absolute blinder. Brevan, we'll let you go and talk about your team. Impressive. Wow.
Yeah, I think Jake finally kind of realized that Moody. I know he had a good game for the Box at 13. I understand it, but it's just not working at the Bulls. It's really not. I don't see Moody as a 13 for the Bulls. I think Creel is far better at 13, or Stedman Hunt's far better at 13. And putting Moody on the wing really brought out a lot more. I felt the back line was flowing a lot better. Chris Smith, look, he did well. I'm glad that he could do well. But I still think that, look, it wasn't a game where he was tested too much at fly-off. So, you're going to have to ask more questions for me to be convinced that he's a guy to take the Bulls forward. I still think Huisson is the guy. But I'm glad that I'm glad that he got that performance off. But other than that, I'm just glad that we got the 5 points. And yeah, there's nothing much to say. The Bulls had to bounce back. The Bulls had to come out there and give a statement victory, and that's exactly what they did. And next up, Glasgow Warriors, another must-win, top of the table clash, and obviously at Loftus again. So the Bulls have to continue this form. This means nothing if they go out and not perform in the next game. So yeah, I'm just glad that this one is out of the way. An Ospreys side that looked spirited, but eventually was just shut down. So yeah, I can be proud of the Bulls for that.
Brett?
Just on the Chris Smith topic, I feel like that's probably his best game that I've seen in a very long time, probably ever. I thought that his game management was good for a change, and he was calm. He had composure, which was weird because he normally gets a bit erratic and then he starts making mistakes and then like silly stuff. But I felt like he had a good game. But I also want to touch on the topic that don't you guys think Creel is going to be a Springbok? It's
the way he's playing.
It's looking likely. It is.
It's just a matter of time.
How old is he, Brett? Do you know?
Yeah, he's young. He's 23, I think. He's your age.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
Yeah. So the thing is, Andre Estreisen and Dialende, both they're not the youngest anymore, right? So you could easily see Creel taking over from one of them. Big, tall, strong, fast.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And the thing is, he's in a player that's got in a team that's got so many stars. You could say, I think he's been player of the season for the Bulls 1,000%. He's been so good. And Jake literally will ask
him and Ambrose.
Ambrose, it's debatable, but I think Creel has done a bit more. But I just think Jake will tell him, play 15, you'll play 15, you'll do a job. Play wing, you'll play wing and you'll do a job. Play 12 or 13, do it and you'll do a job. And that's what you want from a player that can move around the back line if they need to cover wherever there's whatever's lacking in that position, and you'll pick up the slack and perform. So David Creel, keep crushing it, man.
Same with the two Creel brothers, both of them, because when Richard Creel went to Zebre, I thought, okay, he's running away because he's knowing that he's playing like absolute dog shit. And then he came back to the Lions this year, and both of them they are shining like it's nobody's business. This is what all the coaches saw in them, because last year and the years before that, I thought, how are these two brothers professional rugby players? I couldn't see anything special about them. I struggled to rate, I gave them threes every game. 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. This is horrible. Why are they still here? And in this year, both of them are like, all of a sudden, this is what everybody saw in them. So very, very good for the Creel brothers, but yeah, it is what it is.
I can see Hooker and Creel being the next Dialende versus Estreisen battle for a single position. That's what I'm getting from it. But overall, the Bulls, 9 tries, 61 points, absolutely brilliant. Do we think that was just an overall bad performance, or the normal Ospreys? Or do you think this was normality, or the performance that they put out against the Stormers? Were the Stormers that bad that they couldn't beat this Ospreys team, or were the Ospreys just good on the day against the Stormers?
Were that bad. The Stormers were terrible.
Because
I can't put it any other way.
Yesterday, or the Ospreys had they didn't look like a team that ran out onto the field and got one of the biggest upset victories last weekend. They were nowhere in this game. That's why there wasn't enough pressure on Chris Smith. Just look at the pressure that they put on Marnie last weekend, where he couldn't do anything. and then Chris Smith at all the time in the world to literally do anything with the ball that he wanted to. But overall, brilliant by the Bulls. If I look here, they into fourth position, still in fourth position, still in that home playoff semi-final, quarter-final. Now moving on to the Lions. Lions getting smashed by Munster. Brett, thoughts on the Lions? We know we all support the Lions, but we didn't expect an absolute thrashing like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can remember, but this is the game I called that Munster was going to put on a very significant performance, and they did just that. This Munster side, I don't know what it is about them, but when they come to South Africa, the Oaks know how to jaw. But also, it wasn't just the how can I say? It wasn't just a touch and go performance. It was actually these Oaks wanted. It seemed like they were playing in a final. It was a very clinical, well structured. We had to do a job performance, no nitty gritty stuff, and it paid off very well to them. I must, however, say that if Crowley comes to South Africa in the Irish 10 jersey and he kicks like that, sorry, you're going home a loser. But you can't miss easy kicks like that.
Yeah.
Just say.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I can explain that Munster performance, and Casual, we both called Munster wins as well when we did the preview. I think it was so test match like, like Brett said, everything was clinical. There was no mistakes, and I see people saying like, "Oh, Lions hot and cold, blah blah blah." I don't think people realize how good Munster are when they are firing. Like, ask the Stormers, ask the Bulls. This team is really, really good. So to put slack on the Lions, I don't think that's fair, because I mean Munster are a very, very good side, and I mean guys like Peter Mahoney, Achia Snyman, Conor Murray, these are all guys that have Tag Byrne. These are all guys that have been there and literally just done it for Munster. And I mean, Achia obviously shining like he always does towards the end of a season, like he did last year as well for Munster. But I think Munster can be super proud of this tour, because that's 10 out of 10 points. 10 out of 10 when they come to South Africa. And I think that's just, I hope that makes people in this country realize we cannot be seriously like underestimating Ireland when they come here, because trust me, Munster, they know the Irish system, so do Leinster, and those two teams know what it is like to come here and perform. Obviously, we'll get into the Leinster game now, but like we cannot take them lightly at all. So
both at altitude, and both games were at altitude.
Yeah. The thing that I appreciated about this Munster performance, as you said, it was like almost they played test match rugby. But you see a lot of teams when they play a bit of a weaker side. I know the Lions aren't the weakest, but they're not the best in the URC, not by a long shot. They didn't try and do any fancy stuff. They knew they are the better team overall, stuck to their guns, said, listen, we're gonna dominate that scrum time, we're gonna use our driving maul, and we're gonna stick to our basics, what we know best, and we're gonna put on a performance and take all our points. That was the main objective. Get our points and secure the victory. And I really appreciated that, because let's say, for instance, we see it a lot with the Stormers. We play a rotated side to see if we can try some funky stuff, try and get the backline moving a bit more, almost forgetting about the basics. You don't choose guys that actually want to go in and do the hard yards. That's the total opposite of what Munster did. They just said, we want home playoff games. We just securing the victory, getting the bonus point, doing whatever we need to do. So a really, really impressive performance by them. They can be super proud. I mean, you can't be like, it's 10 out of 10, as Brevin said. Now, moving on to our team, Brett. Stormers putting 42 points past Leinster, obviously. Not Leinster's strongest team by a long shot. Impressed by the performance, happy with the performance. What are we saying?
I'll let you go first.
Well, I was pretty happy with the performance in terms of, if you have to take into perspective our performance from last weekend. Like, obviously, we wanted to win this game. I decided to go with Brevin in saying I do not want to predict this game, because the Stormers can literally beat the national island team or lose to Dragons D team. That is how hot and cold we are. We talk about hot and cold with the Lions, talk about hot and cold with the Stormers. I'm just glad that we, at the end, went and put the points past them. We said, no more shit here. Getting the victory, But what I didn't like is the soft try. That second soft try, they should have been held to 0 points. They deserved 0 points in this game, and we gave them 12. We've said it before, the soft tries that the Stormers concede as because of a lack of concentration. And then you give Leinster the opportunity to kind of get themselves back into the game. I don't like it. Obviously, we got the 42 points at the end, but when it was 30-0 and then 30-12 within a minute, no, that's not for me. But overall, happy, got the 5 points in 5th position. We move on.
This is the game of the season that I was the least happy for a win. I feel the same way as you. I felt like that score should have been 60-0, 60-0, without even like trying, because when Manie Lebok started the game, first kickoff of the game, this Oak is already in his own head, kicks 2 meters forward. 2 meters, like right here in front of him. And then the very next kick that he gets, penalty, doesn't kick out. And then I just thought to myself, this Oak is the Manie Lebok that I despised when he played for the Bulls. When he played for the Bulls, I thought, how is this Oak even, why are the Bulls putting up with this guy? And then he went to the Sharks, same thing. I was like, oh my goodness. And then when Stormers signed him, I thought, guys, that's it. Stormers are done. Finally found his feet, and now he's going back to his old ways. And it's really, really annoying me because this was not a well-structured game. Stormers, I think, they for the last 5 games, it's been 5 shocking performances.
Yeah.
Regardless of the wins. It's not what we have seen the last 2 years. And it's really annoying me. And I think that if we don't change anything now, quarterfinals, we're coming home.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Look, I think I'll start off with Leinster. And I think Leinster, regardless of the results, I know their fans obviously will be expecting a win no matter what team they put out, or at least a good performance for that matter. And I think Leinster put up something of a fight that I didn't expect from that type of side. I think Leinster can hold their heads high in the way they tried in that game and the way they approached that game. I think there was a stage in that game where I was like, whoa, could this kind of be a bit of an upset? And I was a bit worried for that. So just to get that thought, I was like, okay, fair play. Leinster really came here to play. So that's just credit to Leinster. But on the Stormers, it's so difficult to explain. Like, it's also frustrating as any other South African. Look, I'm not the one. Obviously, look, I don't like the Stormers, but no matter what, I'll always back another South African team over any other national team, just purely because I'm proud in South African rugby, and I want, literally, if I could have the log at my way, it would be Bulls, Stormers, Lions, Sharks. Like, that's literally how I'd have it, because, you know, I want that to happen. But I think the Stormers have a lot of work to do. Like you said, Manie Lebok obviously could be getting in his head. We know who the player he is. We know he's fantastic. We know what he can do. But I feel like that is the one area of his game where, you know, I think maybe working with someone privately or within the club could help, is just working on that mental state. Because when that guy's mental state is on top, I think he can be so good. But just leaving that, I think I don't want to make a negative out of a bonus point win. I think the thing now is you guys go 2 games away before the playoffs, correct?
Correct.
And the way, meaning you guys are touring to the UK.
Yeah, we're going to the Dragons and then Connacht.
Yeah, look, okay, especially that Connacht game, that can be really tricky, especially when they've got like a Bandi Aki there and a few others. So, yeah, I think the Stormers really need to switch on now and realize, you know, now it's we call it squeaky bum time. Like, now it's time to hold on tight and just get through these 2 away games and make sure you can, you know, at least have a shot at getting through in the quarterfinal. And we were all saying, like, Bulls and Stormers won't be available for this June test because they'll be in the semi-finals of the URC. I mean,
well, we'll be playing against each other at this, right? Because it's 4 versus 5, and Bulls 4, Stormers 5th.
Exactly. So maybe one of us is out. but like that's what I'm saying. You guys have to perform, because now imagine you drop to seventh and have to bloody travel to Leinster or something. I mean, it's just like you don't want that to happen, because it's just that can end really ugly. So yeah, here's to wishing the Stormers success on their tour. And I do see them, or we'll get into a preview at another time, but I do see them at least getting 5 points out of that tour, maybe 6. So fingers crossed.
Brett?
Sorry. I just want to add something. I just want to add some positives to that game. I was giving Creel all this credits in the world. I just want to say that this is 2 games in a row that Evan Ruiz and Dan du Plessis have been by far the standout players in that team. And that
Waterkaland as well. Got to give him his flowers.
Man. Shush.
Brett.
And I was going to say that very naughty, as Breven said on the group, very naughty try from Warwick Galant.
Yeah. We said Dweba and Warwick Galant is on the same WhatsApp group. Warwick Galant the past couple of weeks, after we said that, has left that WhatsApp group and joined back into the former WhatsApp group. Okay, because he's been playing well. Like, obviously we want Dan du Plessis to play on the inside centre, and then the likes of a Rouanel, who's obviously injured, to play on the outside centre, or Similani or whatever. Because I just feel the combination is a bit shaky with Willemse and Dan du Plessis in terms of that combo, even though they both individually play very well. Willemse just still looks out of this world. Like, every time he touches the ball, it's gold. But that combination still doesn't work. But it's like, we want to see Willemse at fullback, but you've got no right in this world to drop Warwick Galant at the moment. Because this looks like the Warwick Galant that left us in the first place, to be fair. Like, he's getting that type of form back, which is great to see. Like, obviously we bantered him a bit, but we want to see our boys perform in the end. Now let's move on to some of the other games of the weekend. Before we go, Brett, I just wanted to ask you, now Dragons and Connacht, we're sending our strongest team. You agree? Strongest team.
100%.
Guarantee those 2 victories. And then you probably know where you end before we play the Lions at home, right? So, and then if you want to play a rotation team against the Lions, to not get injuries before the quarterfinal. That's what I would do.
No. From here, this is now the business end of the competition. You need 100% continuity. If you now get injuries, then it is what it is. You play your stronger side every single game. Against Ospreys, it showed that if you don't play your stronger side, you lose to shit. So that's not going to happen. It's going to be your stronger side, maybe 1 or 2 out of position players. But no, it's going to be strongest team from here on until the final, if we make the final.
Okay. So every game's the final. That's basically what it comes down to. Okay,
Correct.
So moving on to the other games that didn't have any South Africans. We had Ulster versus Benetton to kick off the weekend, and I thought that was an absolutely class game. Benetton nearly pulling it back at the end. Ulster getting the victory, which obviously that was a massive game. That was as we say, a 10-point game or 8-point game, because you're taking one away from the competitors, which means Connacht has gone into 6th place with Benetton going into 8th. Now Benetton were 5th, if I'm not mistaken, which just tells you everything about how close this is. All of a sudden, they are on the fringes of not being in the playoffs, with Edinburgh knocking on the door, 1 point behind them. Even the Ospreys 3 points behind, and then the Lions obviously still on 39. So, boys, massive win for Ulster. Does it look? Do you think they might get their form back, or was that just a one-off performance?
Can't actually comment on that, because I think we made it a trend now that we like to call teams the hot and cold teams, and Ulster is also one of them. So. They also, like, in the beginning of the season, I think they beat Munster. I can't remember. They beat a big team. And then,
they beat Munster.
Yeah, and then the very next game they lose to freaking some poor team. So I don't know. No comment on that game. But I'm a little bit of an undercover Ulster fan, because Kitsov still plays for them. Although he's injured, he's still
But overall, great game. It was a brilliant game of rugby.
Yeah. Look, I think it's. I mean, we were. There was a few comments that said we were crazy because me and Casual in the preview we went for Benetton to win, which I didn't think was a crazy shout, to be fair. But like, some of the comments were like, "How do you think they were going to go and win there?" I mean, it was nearly done. And I mean, if I'm correct, Casual, we went 7 for 8 this week. So, Like
Yeah.
we'll take that, man. We'll take that. But
No, you had one more because I said Cardiff, forget it.
okay, so I went 7 for 8. Okay.
Blasted.
But yeah, I think Ulster, like defense leaky, but at the same time attack looking better. We do say we called Benetton hot and cold, and then we called Ulster hot and cold. So it's like how many, and for all that matter, flip Bulls hot and cold, because 1 minute they not performing well, then they're performing well. So maybe everyone in this bloody competition's hot and
The
cold.
competition, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if Ulster can continue like that and fix defense, they within a shot. But I think Benetton also need credit. I mean, it's never easy to travel into Ireland. It's always difficult. So yeah, I'm going to give credit there to both teams. And as you said, a great game.
Yeah, obviously, moving on, we got Zebra versus Glasgow. I didn't watch this game. We don't have too much to say about it. No one expected Zebra to win this game. We know it's played in Palma, but Glasgow just smashing them. And then obviously with Glasgow winning that game with a bonus point, Leinster losing without getting any points made, that Glasgow's gone to the number 1 position, which is massive. I don't think Leinster will be too bothered about that. They don't care about playing 8th, 7th, 6th, whatever. They'd be bothered playing 5th because that's the Stormers. But below that, they don't really care about that. So we won't go into that game too much. Do you guys have anything to add? Zebra?
Yeah, I did watch that game, and I just want to add that Zebra team, surely we need to somehow get another team to come play promotion relegation, because that is amateur rugby at its best. I was shocked at most of what I saw in that team, and it's getting like that every weekend.
Yeah. Moving on, we had Cardiff versus Edinburgh. Brevan, did you watch that game? Did you follow it at all?
I just watched the highlights. I can't say I watched the full game. But from my perspective, I think Edinburgh had to win, and that's why I said Edinburgh would win. I just felt that Edinburgh, it means a lot more to them at this current moment in time, and usually that's more than enough to get a team over the line. So yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. But yeah, I mean, Edinburgh, I really thought we were going to take it. So
was that Friday night's game?
No, that was Saturday.
I think it wasn't it at the same time as another game, or
it was the same time as the Lions game.
Yes,
yes. There you go. Yeah,
but that obviously meant that Edinburgh has now gone into number 9 spot to knock on the door to get into the playoffs. Obviously, they've been struggling all season, and yet they are still knocking on the door to get in. And then let's move on to the final game. We had Dragons versus Connacht. I called a blowout victory for Connacht.
What a game. Actually, I watched that one.
They were in a massive lead, and I had a couple of bucks on Connacht to win this game, like a pretty safety bet. And then I started doing this at the end, and I was like, I do not like what I'm seeing at the moment. Obviously, they still got the victory. Connacht victors 34-27. Brevan, you said you followed the game. Tell us about it.
I thought it was a flippin' sick game of rugby. I was like, I was sick in bed, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to give this a go. Like, why not? And I really focused on the game, and it was such a cool game of rugby. I was like, damn, okay, maybe I should do this more often. But then usually when you do that, it ends up being a 3-3 or a 6-6, like we saw in the beginning of the season. But yeah, I think credit to both sides. Massive performance. I think Connacht, obviously congrats on the win, but that's the beauty of this competition, is you never know what team you're going to get on what day, and if they're hot or cold. And that's why you always have to be consistent, stick to your structures like you said Munster do. And that's why I think Munster gets so consistent at a point, is they just stick to what they know. And I think, obviously Dragons getting the red card towards the end there, which it's a shame. But obviously, that helped Connacht a bit. And just fair play to Connacht and the Dragons for performing such a cool game for us.
Brett, you got anything to add?
No, actually, that was very well summed up. That's I wanted to talk on the red card, but nothing further.
Brevan likes doing this every now and again, Brevan likes doing this every now and again, pulling something out of his asshole and just covering the whole game, not letting one of us talk. But I mean, fair play.
My bad.
Anyway, we're going to end the episode. Hey?
Something happened.
No, nothing happened.
All of you went away.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
Thank you,
Technical
everyone, for
issues.
watching this episode of Sapphires Unscripted. I think Brett thinks the episode was done. We haven't even called it yet. But thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate you guys. We love and for your love and support. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We are approaching 900. We love it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.